President Lai, let me come to you first. So what difference do you think it would make for these two nations in terms of the security of this region?
I believe that probably is the first time that Canada have a defense minister statement with Australia. And basically, that's Canada for the first time in the post-COVID era, voicing about the security concern in the Indo-Pacific. Although Canada already started its activities, like November last year, and Canada not only sent its ship to transit through the Taiwan Straits, but also participate in the America, Japan, and Australia, the military exercises. And also this June, this year, Canada also participate in the America, Japan, and Philippine military exercises, as well as sending a ship again through the Taiwan Straits.
So do you see this as a pattern for Canada, that it's increasing its role in the Indo-Pacific?
Definitely. Yeah. So right now that Canada started to, not just about activity, have its public statement and state very clearly about its intention. And I will say that many things, many activities associated with this follow Canada's announcement of its Indo-Pacific strategy at the end of year 2022. And of course, they also signifies Canada its attitude change toward China, especially after the capture of the two Michaels that China held in exchange for the Meng Wanzhou affairs.
Yeah, Professor Huang, you know, Australia, we know, is an oceanic nation. It's situated in the Indo-Pacific. Canada, we wouldn't immediately call an Indo-Pacific nation, but as President said, Canada did release its own Indo-Pacific strategy. Why is Canada taking such a strong stance?
Actually, Canada is not a newcomer to the regional affairs in the Western Pacific. Ever since the end of the Cold War, the Canadian Coast Guard had been pretty active in working and dealing with the Western Pacific countries. So we had never thought that Canada is not a Pacific country. Like the United States, they all had a long coastline and interest in the Pacific Ocean, number one. Number two, there have been other regional security dialogue that have been going on, and in which the Canadian participation have been pretty active, like CSCAP and other regional dialogues. So I believe that the enhancement of the Canadian involvement, including sending their military assets, sailing through the Taiwan Strait, had magnified that the increasing focus of the Canadian interest in the Indo-Pacific region.
President Lai, when we talk about what we call a spoke-to-spoke arrangement, what do you see in terms of the bigger picture of this lattice work, in terms of this strengthening?
The lattice work system, which was announced by National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan, I think sometime in year 2022, signifies something that is not just about the U.S.-led bilateral alliances. Basically, the U.S. tried to integrate many of those spoke in those alliances to make them to be mini multilaterals, mini plurilaterals, basically, the alliance system. So we have started to have the U.S., Japan, Korea, U.S., Japan, Australia, and also the Quad, and even the British come into the picture with the AUKUS. And now just earlier this year, the announcement about Squad, S as a small or security Quad, that is led by the U.S., Japan, and the Philippines and Australia. So those multiple arrangements sort of coming together. It's not just based on the U.S.-led bilateral alliances, but also improve the interoperability and the communication between those alliances, like Japan, Australia, now with Philippines, but then now Canada started to come in.
And Canada, Alex, is also looking for a swift conclusion of the agreement called a Visiting Forces Agreement with the Philippines. You know, Philippines has negotiated similar agreements with different names with the US, Australia, and Japan, and Canada will be the fourth. What do these types of agreements enable the Philippines and its allies to do?
The reason for that, of course, is to deal with a increasingly challenging security environment caused by Beijing. This is a part of a greater deterrence built up across nations in the Indo-Pacific region. I think Canada and Australia, of course, don't forget there has been a Five Eyes, coalition. So there have been sound bases for bilateral relationship or the multilateral since the last century. And right now, the Western democracies in the region and try to strengthen and enhance those alliance system with exercises and new agreements to cement and materialize in their practice. So we see the naval vessels and other assets that cruise around the Indo-Pacific region. The visiting force agreement is expanding to many. That would facilitate in case. Of course, the basic logic is deterrence. Build up the deterrent capability. But in case of a future possible kinetic military conflict, that these exercises and these coalitions, these agreements can immediately facilitate those necessary actions should the allies decide to get into.